All right, we're live, folks.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to what appears to be an early spring evening. So we're all pretty excited about that. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Our first item is the consent agenda. Recommended action: approve the following items which are included in the consent agenda: 5A minutes, 7C sports merger, 7D 25-26 calendar readoption, 7H EM Cooper Memorial Library proposition resolution, 7I capstone project approval, run to remember, 7J ice out fundraiser, and 7K special education. May I have a motion, please? Any discussion on any of those items?
Thank you to Mr. Baker for coming to rep for the Ice Out fundraiser. We appreciate that. So.
Thank you for your support.
If there's no discussion, please vote.
Seven yes.
Moving on to the good of the cause, we have a section for the public may address the board. Anyone interested? Anything, Karen, online?
No.
We don't have anything under information for the public, which moves us on to our presentation for this evening with our community schools representative Keith Clark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Yes.
Just a moment, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I was gonna say next and you'll.
No, I will give you the remote here.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
make you that dependent. That would be with your slide. There you
Perfect. Well, thank you to the school board for having me in. I think the last time I presented to the school board was after the first year of community schools. And I just kind of gave a recap. So I think the school board was aware of the programming we had started. This is the third year of community school. And, you know, it's a yearly commitment for me. And I've made a pretty difficult decision that I want to return to the classroom for next year. And I've let Tim know that that's my intention. I've really enjoyed my 3 year. Well, we'll be 3 full years kicking off community schools. I think it's a great principle for the school district, for our students. And I think we've started a lot of good things that will hopefully be able to be maintained. I think that's kind of the heart of my presentation today, is to kind of review some of the heavy lifting programs that we have started and we continue. And I think, having talked it over with Tim, programs that will be expected to be continued, you know, for years to come. And certainly I would like to be part of that if need be. We'll see how that all plays out. So the next slide. Oh, I got to click something. What do I do?
I can't pick myself a bit.
Okay. So here are kind of the 3 pillars. I actually presented these after year 1, and they haven't changed. Maybe they will change a little bit. But in community schools, we're trying to foster community engagement. We're trying to expand and enrich learning time and opportunities for students outside the regular school hours. And we're trying to work with local organizations and partners to create more opportunities for our students that might be school generated, might be school supported, might be run by outside organizations that community schools can help facilitate that. So those are kind of the 3 areas that I always have to kind of remind myself that's what we're trying to do, and what we've tried to do, what we tried to complete in the last 3 years.
There's a little minus sign too in the picture, Keith. You can.
We're gonna minus out Colleen.
Left there, then you can have the full screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is just I'm not gonna go over all of this, but it's just a little bit of kind of what happens day to day. One thing with community schools is some days are really kind of orchestrated and you kind of know what the tasks are going to be. And then other days things just kind of come up and it's a little more organic, kind of depending on the time of year, depending on what program is happening, and then depending on what happens. Some of the things that we've had this year is, we've had some tragedies for families with, homes being lost to fires, and kids needing help. Our mental health team does a great job here in the district, and I really just support them. They're taking the lead on most of those things, but there are times where I step in to support them, and make sure tasks get done for community members and kids in our district that are in need, that something that might not have been foreseen. Another area that I work on, mostly day to day, is making sure that the programming we're doing is funded. And sometimes that is doing some basic grant writing, but also just reaching out to organizations to see if they'd like to sponsor or help sponsor programming. And we've been pretty successful with that. And one thing I want to mention is I work closely with the two principals, with Tim and with Lauren St. Louis. Lauren has been a great partner in this the last 2 years. And, she's working at the elementary school now and is a great asset there. But she's also been a great asset to community schools in making things look nice, which I can't do. So a couple of the events that we do that are not, they aren't events that are at this point yearly events that I think maybe are worth highlighting, is that we brought back bingo at St. Agnes. I worked with St. Agnes, and we did 3 bingos in and around the holidays, and they were very well attended. Working with Amanda Cassidy and some local organizations, we did walk, bike, and roll this fall, where a lot of kids and parents rode their bikes from the train station to the elementary school. It was an elementary school program. We're working heavy with ORDA on a lot of events and the Olympic Center. I'm working significantly with the after-school program as well to provide more, sometimes just connecting them with resources, but also help set up some things for them that they then follow through, and they kind of dot the I's and cross the T's, but I'll do the initial kind of organizational aspect. So there's a lot of things there that are kind of maybe going to be turn into annual events, hopefully walk, bike, roll will. Community math night's in its 2nd year, or will be in its 3rd year. Chess club night, those types of things. We do an annual college visit that I work and organize with Connie Hammaker, and we take the kids off, and that's funded by the EdOp fund. So that's kind of some events that are, I work with as well. But I want to highlight these 6 programs. I was about to say next, Tim. Yeah. And just look at these real quick, because these are kind of six programs that have been initiated by myself in community school, supported by the administration, and hopefully will, and I think, again, they align with our major goals there. I kind of line them up with which one they closely match. Usually all of them overlap in all 3 areas at some level, but I think those are the most fitting and the closest match if you had to pick one. Our summer camps, our community classes for adults in the community, our adaptive skating program, our JACT program, staycation, and learn from the pros. So summer enrichment programs, this would be our 3rd year running 3 of these, and our 2nd year running 1 of them. And what we're trying to do here is provide outside learning for students, or opportunities for students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. So our elementary kids and our middle school kids. And these are the 3 programs we run. We have commitments already from staff to run these again this year. So we run kindergarten camp, which is really nice. It acclimates the young kids coming into the district with the building and their teachers and their peers. This will be our 2nd year running a STEM camp for grades 1 and 2. We do a sports camp for grades 3 through 5. And then we've done a robotics camp the last 2 years. This will be our 3rd year running a robotics camp, where Mr. Carlson's done most of the heavy lifting there. And it's hosted at the Hub on Main Street. So here are some pictures of that programming. We time the programming so it's after Camp Placid. So it's kind of that week where we're waiting for school to start. There's kind of 2 weeks off, or like a 10-day period off there. So the school provides busing. Probably about 40% of the kids rely on busing, either one way or both ways. So that's great. And I do think probably half of that 40%, probably wouldn't be able to do this programming if busing wasn't provided, so that's awesome. And there's just some pictures there of some STEM camp pictures on the Net Park, and the robotics camp from, I think, this past summer. So that's one of the 6 programs. These are their community classes for adults. We kind of committed to doing 2 sets of community classes. The times that we've kind of figured have worked the best are between the holidays, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and this time of year, where the second set of classes are coming up, and we've done 8 classes. Sometimes we do 5 and 3, sometimes we do 4 and 4. These are this year's classes. We've already done the ones on the left, and the ones on the right are coming up. We try to mix it up so that there's a little bit of something for everybody. And I would say that, half the classes are heavily attended and have a wait list. We've had really good participation in these. There's been a couple that haven't, gone off as well as we'd like. But I think we've now provided, somewhere around 25 to 30 classes. And I would say 75% of them are either full or pretty close to full, well attended. That's a great way to get community members in the school. Again, a lot of the teachers are providing this service, but we are also relying on outside organizations as well. When we bring in bakers, we bring in chefs, we bring in basic auto mechanics. That'll be interesting. We've already got some signups for that. You got to sign up. You signed up. Yeah. So
Like people that want to know some of those things, but then I'm going to choose not to do it.
yeah,
So I think that was an absolutely great one. My daughter signed up as well because, just silly things like, changing the wipers out, or how many of us even know how to change a tire? I mean, I don't know that we ever be in that predicament, but I thought that was a really clever, and it's going to be great fun to see Jay Strack down at the garage doing that.
yeah, there you go.
But just fun ideas.
Yeah, and I think we with driver's ed next year, we're also going to talk to Connie Hammaker today. We have already a group of kids interested in driver's ed, so I'm going to reach out to those families to see if they want to come down with a parent and attend those classes. So those are some class, and we really like this programming. It is a little bit costly, but it's worth it. There's some photos from a variety of different classes throughout the last couple of years. Adaptive skating, this is one that we feel really good about. Sarah Allen and I and Val Murray over at the Olympic Center put this together. This is the second year of this program. Our adaptive skating program includes 9 students from the district. This program focuses on creating an inclusive environment where our students can work on skating, developing skills, experiencing the benefit of skating in a way that meets their individual needs. This is winding down. I think we're done. The last session will be the 18th. We extended it this year. Last year, I think it was maybe 8 weeks. This year, we did up to 12 or 13 weeks. The kids skate twice a week. And it's great. And I think every student, no matter what their interest is or their ability, wants to feel a sense of accomplishment. And this is an area where some of these students might not ever have this opportunity and have that feeling of doing something maybe that some people didn't think they could do. And they're really, taking off in that area. And the ORTA, or the Olympic Center teachers, are very patient and great with them. So we're really lucky to have that partnership. Next is JACT. JACT is part of our STREAM program. Our STREAM program is for 9th and 10th graders who are in an alternative ed setting. And I went on board last year, so this is the second year of this program. Tim and I met over the summer, and I said, this will take the first year. This will take a little bit of my time. Are you interested? He's like, yes. This is something obviously Tim has talked a lot about, and it's hard. It's hard to set up programming with the demand of the requirements of New York State to do this program, and when you get kids out of the building and you give them real life work experience. That's what JACT does. So basically, I take these kids, or I coordinate for these kids their Fridays with job and career training. And last year they did 3 placements. The first placement is at the Olympic Center. So they work 8 Fridays at the Olympic Center. They're actually hired. And then the second one is preferably in the area where half of them can walk, some we have to drive. They're at places like we were at Pure Placid last year. We had a student shadow a police officer, worked at Central Garage, Locker Room 5, Crown Plaza this year. Golden Arrow's been a great partner, the Holdery family. We have a student working at Capiche this year. And then the third placement last year, which this year might be a little bit different, was working for the town of North Elba Park District. So we want the kids to learn how to work. We want the kids to learn how to be a good employee. We want the kids to learn what drives the economy of Lake Placid in our region. And we just want the kids to also interact with community members in a lot of ways. So a lot of our students have stayed on and worked either part-time or heavy, out of school time with these different businesses. One has already been offered a job at one of these businesses, and he just started there for two weeks. So we'll see how that goes. But Jack is something I'm really proud of, and it's kind of exciting. Bentley Kennedy is part of Jack, and he created this video without me really knowing what it was. He was at the Olympic Center, and he worked with Sean Fredericks, a Lake Placid grad, and he worked in IT, and he created this video basically just kind of, and they have, this is when they just were finishing, or they were in their first placement, so they were still figuring out what this whole thing was. But this is a pretty cool video that I think has some telling answers that speak to the program. Hopefully loud enough. Bentley there.
Job and career training.
Job and career training.
Start with
The
easy
JAC
questions
program
first.
stands for Job and Career Training.
Always good test taking. An easy question first.
It gives students more opportunities to explore the real world before they're out of high school.
It's kind of fun because you get to do different things. Like work and stuff in the afternoon instead of being in school and it being boring all the time. Plus you can get money also from it, so it's cooler than school.
It's cool making money.
What I like about the JAC program is it's showing me real life skills and opportunities that I can do in the future.
Now, I just want to make a statement. This student would have never made that statement publicly and stood in front of a camera. So pretty cool.
It's a pretty fun program. We get to learn hands-on learning. We get to learn like everything that we want. We get to pick what we want to learn and choose like what we get to do basically. So, it's great fun.
I get to work, I get to get paid during school, so.
I chose tech and facilities because I've always been good with tech.
I chose food service because I'm good with like customers and like interacting with people and I like this. It's really nice.
I'm doing carpentry at Orta, and I chose it because I like to build stuff.
I learned how to do a bunch of different stuff. So I learned about welding and how to change tires and oil and everything.
Kind of like help my social awkwardness mostly because I have to talk to people and do stuff.
Well, it helped me learn like in the kitchen more, like say stuff. You really gotta talk, you gotta listen to people. So yeah, it's helping me learn, open my ears more.
It's helped me grow by keeping my mind open and figuring out how to fix stuff.
Probably.
I haven't talked about this, I think I am. I'm ready.
Once my placement is over, yeah, I can see myself working here again.
So I learned how to like set the tables for how to like set up the bed basically where to put things. So it'd be a good-
I don't know. I guess that helping people is fun.
this position at Orta has helped me grow by teaching me how to edit, use Photoshop, do B-roll, take interviews, all that.
I believe it's overall made me feel better about the day. I used to dread over going to school, but I think it really impacted my mental health as well, in a good way.
It helped me realize what program I want to do specifically when I go into BOCES next year.
It's helped me focus more on schoolwork and stuff like that.
Now what do I do? Oh, there you go.
Yep, yeah.
There we go. So that was done by Bentley. Unbeknownst to me, that was done. And I think the last two answers, from the students were more about just the STREAM program in general, not just Jacked, and how I do think those students are being, helped in a lot of ways by the district's approach of having a different approach. And I think that's something that for the future, I know Tim is really interested in trying to expand that concept to other students as well, as we go. Learn from the Pros is a program this year for sixth graders. Last year was for fourth and sixth graders, where we bring in different, we're trying to commit to bringing in 4 to 6 different professionals from a range of jobs that can present to the students in a hopefully a hands-on way as much as possible. Cam Cassidy's coming, and right now the kids have actually created some ideas for a sign for the counseling center, and he's going to create a sign for the counseling center based on a lot of their ideas. So they get to see kind of how that process works, and they just kind of talk about the different jobs they do. And we've had some outsiders, and we've had some locals. We've had some people with ties to the community, and some people that just kind of visit here with the film forum. But they've all been we've been really lucky so far. We've had great presenters that understand how to connect with the kids. And I think the kids have taken a lot out of it. And is that the 6th, or is that? There's one more. And then staycation. Yeah, this was just my first year, just kind of being like, okay, spring break's coming up and we need to get the kids some options that don't get to go away. And it turned into this, which is hard because there's not much going on here in Lake Placid to offer kids. Anyone who's, I've been doing my staycation here for the last few years, and having been someone who went away a fair amount, and you realize how desolate Lake Placid is, and there's not a lot of options. So we do our best to try to create programming. We bring the kids over to Burlington for a show, kids who sign up. We give kids options to go to, bowl, go to a movie. We had some open gym at different times. We have a skate night. They can go see a free movie. We extended this year because our break over Christmas and New Year's was so lengthy. We did some options there as well. So that's, I think, is important to try to take those kids in and give them some options. Here's some pictures from our staycation over the last few years. Making candles at Pure Placid, that's in place for this year. We're gonna go the Little Mermaid, I think we're going this year to Burlington. And those are some other options that we've done in the past. So that's kind of the 6 programs that, as I've talked to Tim about, transitioning back into the classroom, that I hope stay alive and move forward. And I think he's gonna try to push, to the next person, whoever takes on this position. Here's kind of a few points of what I see is happening. And one is to maintain the programming that's in place now that we see as valuable as a district. And maybe some things need to be changed or tweaked or replaced with other programming. I think expanding job opportunities and, maybe with our capstone project and trying to coordinate that a little bit more might be a good idea. Trying to make sure we make our school building more of a hub is a really good idea. We've done some things, but it's been a little limited here and there. But we've definitely been part of bringing people into both school buildings physically. And then I think obviously maintaining the relationships I've created, but then I think someone new, the advantage they have is that they'll have different relationships. They may have different outreach with different community members. And so hopefully they can maintain the strong ones that we've had in place in the last 3 years, and they can build upon that with new relationships. So again, it's been a great 3 years. People ask me, are you just sick of it? And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's that I have a choice. I'm lucky. It's a luxury to have a choice. And I do miss the classroom. And that's kind of where I see myself finishing up my teaching careers in the classroom. So it's been a wonderful opportunity. I want to thank the school board for supporting community schools. And I'm, like I said to Tim, I'm here to help in whatever capacity that might be with the next person in place. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Keith, you should be congratulated because this has exploded exponentially in the 3 years since you've taken this over, because you might have come in here with a few slides initially, but just the expansion of the program across so many areas is really impressive, and what a testament to our students in the community. I hear a lot from the younger families, Keith, about the staycation programs and your summer programs, just how important it is, like you said, for so many of the children that don't go anywhere or have options. And I don't know, I'm really impressed. And thanks greatly for everything you do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen.
Anybody else?
And just to contextualize for the board, I wanted Keith to have an opportunity to punctuate his accomplishments here with the program. And then tomorrow we will send out the Canvas notice for the new community schools director in time to have a recommendation for appointment at our April meeting, so that Keith and I can work to transition that person and have a smooth transition. So, and only out of deference to Keith's desire to not have his ego inflated will I say anything further, because I think so very highly of his work and him as a person. So thank you for your work, Mr.
Thanks.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks.
Okay, let's see, we're moving on to reports to the board, and Dana, you are up with the operations report, please.
Yes. So I figured it was time to share kind of a check-in with our food service program, and I provided you a little spreadsheet, kind of doing a comparison between this year up until January to January of last year. And really wanted to kind of highlight that since we hired a full-time food service director, this I think is his 3rd year now. We've seen definitely growth in terms of how our meals are prepared, and as a result of how they're being prepared, we're seeing more students, getting meals. Type of deal. So we really done, Phil Barber has really done a nice job of moving away from processed food to going to scratch foods, preparing things right from the basic ingredients, going after more locally sourced products. We use a lot of different local groups in the area, depending on the time of year, from the beef to vegetables to the fruits. We even use Rolf Orchard. I mean, our eggs, that's a nice topic there. They're all local. We get them from Drew's. We've been getting them from Drew's for years, so that's nothing new. But we've been able to expand, and Phil's been able to expand on locally sourced foods. And again, we're seeing the results in terms of the numbers. So what you see here is really just a comparison between the meals that we do on a monthly basis. I broke it down to what that daily average is, and then based on each building. One of the things to also highlight is during this time, we've been offering as a district for about 4 years now, all the meals paid for. Kind of came out of the COVID. It was kind of like on the tail end of COVID, where the board made the decision to fund that. And during COVID, we were getting fully reimbursed, but then that went away, and the district was covering that cost. And then November of last year, we became a CEP school, that's Community Eligibility Provision School, so that we were able to get all of our meals, minus adult meals, reimbursed. I would say fully reimbursed, but, you know, just the way costs are, that's not, you know, the way it comes down to. But we're seeing a substantial difference in our revenue from the federal and state governments because we're part of this program. We're really just kind of a year and a half into a 4-year program. We were approved for 4 years for this program. And that kind of shows you that the bottom comparison of revenue and expenses, the difference you can see in revenue from 1 year to the next. You know, at the end of January last year, we were, you know, $113,000 in the hole because of the difference between revenue expenses versus $47,000 deficits. For me, I see that as basically it's a wash. When I looked recently, we were really just about $25,000 to $30,000. Last year, at the end of the year, the general fund only had to cover about $25,000 once the year was all said and done, and we got all of our reimbursements. So from initial budgeting of about $215,000 when we started funding and paying for all the meals, we're down to $150,000 this current year and projecting to lower that amount even further next year because of what we're seeing as to with all the reimbursements. So we're going to see that number go from $150,000 that we're going to budget to offset a cost to probably half that, if not a little lower. So it's definitely advantageous to providing the service. I think the numbers show that. So, you know, we have, you know, on average for lunches at the middle high school, about 190 meals, lunches a day. We didn't see that 3-4 years ago. So it's just a whole program that is really going in the right direction. I wanted to give you guys kind of updates, you know, kind of like that, you know, yearly update on the food service program.
No, it's nice to see the numbers increase. It
Thank
must
you.
be change in the menu.
Tell you as a parent.
Yeah.
And the opening.
Shows. Thank you, Dana. Next item is information for the board. There are several items under public content for you to look over at your leisure. We have the audit report, the quarterly report. We have the letter from the Wilmington Cooper Library. The petition is there for the Board of Education for anybody in the community that might be interested. Those petitions are due, I believe, April 21st. And then we have the extracurricular activity report. There's also an item under our executive content for you to look at as well. Superintendent report, Tim?
Thank you. So I just want to highlight a few programs too that have been going on, and some of this will be in service of what Mr. Clark described, and others will be maybe one-off trips that have happened or things that are anticipated, but all good things. So I try to make my way into the classrooms over the course of the school day, and I routinely spend my morning either at the elementary school or at the middle high school ramp. But not a lot happens in the morning other than welcoming students, and my day sort of starts. So I was able to pop into the Stream classroom last week, and they gave me a breakdown of some of the things that they've done just in terms of the curriculum and opportunities for kids outside of the job and career training that they're doing. So I wanted to just shed a light on some of these things because they're great. So they have been working on financial literacy with Harris Semagram. They invited Harris into the classroom to speak to that. There are tax professionals that provide free IRS filing at the Lake Placid Library right now. So the class went to Lake Placid Library to learn about how to file your taxes. So oftentimes we hear, where are the practical skills in education? You know, there's all these memes. Thank God I learned how to, you know, find the hypotenuse of a triangle, but I can't file my taxes. So it's good to see that we're fulfilling both sides of the house with that. And also the students are involved with the Thrive and Thrift food pantry in securing the pickup of goods from Price Chopper in Hannaford. So certainly when the board was contemplating you know, providing that parcel of land to Thrive and Thrift, a component of that dialogue was to have student engagement be a component of that program. And it's starting in its early stages, given that it's only been open for about 3 months. So it's good to see. And they are collecting over 1,000 pounds of plastic to create a bench. It says a wooden bench. They're making a wooden bench for Mirror Lake Beach. They're also creating a plastic bench out of the 1,000 pounds that they are recycling. So lots of great things with environmental stewardship done by that program. In terms of some of the trips that have been going on February 25th, our science students with Mr. Baker, who was here just a moment ago, and Mr. Brunner, they went to Dartmouth's Thayer School of Engineering. This is the first time I believe the students have traveled there. So they had an educational tour by one of the professors there, and they toured the nanofabrication labs. So they learned about creating extremely small materials and machines, ranging from 10 times thinner than a human hair to atomic scale. So they engaged with 3 different professors at Dartmouth over the course of the day. They looked at research for photonics chips, which I had to look up what they are. They are not all dressed lasers. They are completely different. And they are, ultimately, they toured lots of different rooms where this work takes place. So, you know, there's a lot of market and chip production in the global economy. And this was a great opportunity for students to see a field that is only going to increase in relevance. So thanks to Mr. Brunner and Mr. Baker for putting that together with the kids.
What grade level was that, Tim?
I believe it was our 9th and 10th grade students. Yeah, I'll cross-reference that, but I believe so.
There was at least one junior.
Okay, so the juniors, okay.
Yeah, a couple kids missed AP that day.
Oh, yeah, all right, all right. So it sounds like our 11th graders were part of that.
11th grade, Jim.
Looking ahead, the Long Point String Band. So one of the things that we've tried to do, both in terms of community schools and then just in both the buildings, is take advantage of the opportunities that the LPCA puts on. They always have visiting artists and musicians. And so Mr. Blevins, our elementary music teacher, has been in close contact with them, and students at the elementary will go to the LPCA at the beginning of April to see the Long Point String Band. They're a group out of West Virginia. They specialize in neo-traditional old-time music. Wrap your head around that. Apparently the band members switch instruments and create different sounds and just give the kids a different vantage point for musical instruments and careers. So we're excited to have that partnership continue for our students there. We had an interesting change on the IT side of the house, which I will attempt to explain, recognizing that I'm not a savant in those areas. But around last year, Google had indicated, Google, the large corporation, they had indicated that they were not willing to comply with some of New York State's education privacy laws. There's a law in the books called Ed Law 2D, and it protects student data from being harvested from companies. And since that time, the Department of Education in New York State has tried to negotiate with Google to comply, and they kind of split things down the middle. They signed an agreement to ensure that they would not harvest data from educational institutions on students related to their core services, which include Gmail, Google Classroom, Drive, and Docs, all the things that we do in Google. But they were unwilling to do the same for their additional services, such as YouTube, Google Translate, and Google Earth. And so with them refusing to do that, unfortunately, our IT team had to disable those non-core services for our students effective March 1st. I want to applaud our IT team. These services are beloved amongst staff. YouTube is a critical learning tool. So our teachers are still able to utilize it and embed videos into Google Classroom. Our IT team provided some additional compliant workarounds for staff to utilize, but also we have nearly 30 English language learning students in our district. Google Translate has been one of our foremost tools. So we've looked at using Duolingo as an alternative, another program. And Google Earth, certainly with some of the geographical name changes that have taken place over the last couple of months, having access to Google Earth would have been beneficial for our students to follow the ball on that. But nonetheless, it's been a challenge. So I think our staff have weathered it well, but that was a major impact for us instructionally that you probably didn't know about, but I wanted to bring to your attention. Our robotics team, the Robo Olympians, traveled to Montreal on March 7th. So they traveled in anticipation for their main competition. It's the New York Tech Valley Regional Competition in Albany, which is at the end of the month. But they went to Montreal to see an international competition at a professional level. I'm told that it was a great trip for them. So thanks to Mr. Carlson and Ms. McKinnon for attending that trip. Back to the art side of the house, our production of Cinderella by our musical cast is just a few days away. So we're excited that from Thursday to Saturday of this week at the Lake Placid Center for the Arts. And it will be free for all attendees, thanks to the support of the district and community schools, that people in the community will have an opportunity to see our students on stage downtown. So looking forward to the production of Cinderella. Our departments continue to make preparations for our May Professional Development Day. So this is the third year that we've utilized our May half day for departments to meet at a roundtable and discuss the goals that they've been working on for the year and share with colleagues from different departments to gain a better understanding of where our priorities are as instructional teams. So there's a lot of different work that's been going on. Our science department has really been focusing on the new science exams that have come out across the state and will continue to do so next year. We'll continue to hear from our PE department. They're trying to find a skill teaching methodology from K-12 that is predictable for students. Our math department at the middle high school level is looking at the curriculum that they use, trying to refine that. And our special education team is trying to find better ways to leverage our teaching assistants. So there's a lot of different things. I mean, we have 14 different instructional departments, and it's a great day in May for us to see the fruits of everyone's labor. So excited for that to be starting soon. In addition, we recently completed our second NWEA MAP growth assessment. And we have now assembled enough data points where we're preparing our first mailer for parents. So our NWEA MAP growth assessment is a way for us to take the pulse on how students are doing in math and ELA in grades K through 8 and find ways that we can try and meet them where they're at and improve our instruction. And so in anticipation for the reports to be sent home for parents at the end of the month, we'll be sending home a letter which will explain how the program works and give a sample report that they can review in anticipation. So lots of good work there. And lastly, our Washington, D.C. trip is very close. Thanks to Mr. Clark for much of the work that he does along with Ms. Lindsay in preparing for that. So from March 23rd to the 26th, students will be heading to D.C. to explore the monuments, and they'll be going to Arlington National Cemetery, the traditional Smithsonian Mall crawl, the National Zoo. Are the pandas back, Mr. Clark? Pandas are back.
And maybe more being added apparently.
Okay,
Yeah.
love that. Love the enthusiasm. And then there'll be multiple museums they'll be going to, and a performance of Sister Act at Ford's Theater, just like Abraham Lincoln would have recalled. The group will return on the evening of March 26th. So lots of good stuff happening in the district, and yeah, it's an exciting time of year.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Moving on, 5A minutes. The Board of Education was under consent. Moving into personnel. Recommended action, approve the following items, which are included in the personnel consent agenda. 6B, appointment of positions. 6C, additional spring coaches. 6D, CSEA staff resignation. 6E, teaching assistant resignation. 6F, teaching staff unpaid leave. And 6G, teaching assistant unpaid leave. May I have a motion, please?
I'll motion it.
Alderman Ron.
Who's the second?
Ron. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Yes.
Moving into the additional action items, the first is the Read Across America Proclamation. Recommended action is to approve the NEA's Read Across America Proclamation for March 2025 as per attached. And the following proclamation reflects our district's continuing support for promoting a lifelong love of reading. May I have a motion, please?
I'll second.
Brian and John.
And John, whomever they tied. Looks like they have a variety of fun things planned through the month of March for this. Very exciting. Any other comments? Please vote.
7 yes.
Next is our Music in Our Schools proclamation. Recommended action, approve the Music in Our Schools month for the month of March 25 as per the attached. Following proclamation reflects our district's continuing support for music in our schools. We have a motion?
Second.
Is that John?
John.
Oh.
Seven yes.
7C was consent. 7D, consent. 7E, donation acceptance. Recommended action, whereas Lake Placid Central School Board of Education Policy 6255, donations, gift, and grants to the district allows for the superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having a value of less than $1,500. Whereas monies have been granted as follows. The town of North Elba in the amount of $2,500 to be used for the robotics entry fee. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with policy 6255, the Board of Education hereby accepts the check from the town of North Elba in the amount of $2,500. May I have a motion, please? Any discussion? Thank you to the town of North Elba supporting program. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Next is donation acceptance. Recommended action, whereas Lake Placid Central School Board of Education Policy 6255, donations, gifts, and grants to the district allows for the superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having a value of less than $1,500. Whereas monies have been granted as follows. Adirondack Foreign Language Enhancement Fund at Adirondack Foundation in the amount of $3,000 to be used for the immersion and local summer camp in Quebec City. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with policy 6255, the Board of Education hereby accepts a check from the Adirondack Foreign Language Enhancement Fund at Adirondack Foundation in the amount of $3,000. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Please vote.
Seven yes.
Last, donation acceptance. Recommended action, whereas Lake Placid Central School Board of Education Policy 6255, donations, gifts, and grants to the district allows for the superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having a value of less than $1,500. Whereas monies have been granted as follows. Community Foundation of New Jersey in the amount of $5,000 to support the Lake Placid Central School District Backpack Program. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with policy 6255, the Board of Education hereby accepts the check from the Community Foundation of New Jersey in the amount of $5,000. May I have a motion, please?
I move the resolution.
I will second it.
Any discussion? Wonderful that we're supporting the backpack programs. Wonderful. Please vote.
Yes.
The Cooper Memorial Library proposition, capstone project approval, Ice Out fundraiser approval, and special educational all under consent. Moving on to linking goals with agenda items. I'm sure everybody has something. Anyone would like to contribute to our linking goals?
Keith's presentation for community involvement.
Yes.
Uh,
Also,
stu- oh, go ahead.
Colin.
Oh, I was saying students first and foremost, all the opportunities to go on different trips and see different things. It's just amazing.
Think Tips report the technology with the students going to the college in New Hampshire. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, all of that. Yep.
Finance with Dana's report on the lunch program. We seem to be getting some monies in return. Any other items? Okay. We're moving on to our second good of the cause. The public may address the board again if they'd like to. Anyone? Anything online, Karen?
Yeah.
We're going to move into our adjournment phase. Our next meeting date and location is here on March 25th with an anticipated budget work session starting at 4:30. Anybody have any old agenda topics? Any new ones? Then I'm going to have a recommended action that we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss security updates. May I have a motion, please?
Okay.
Please vote.
I just checked myself out.
Okay. But 7 yes.
Thank you. all for
Thank
coming.
you. for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thanks.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks again, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
That's his name is Kurt Munson. He is the new principal at the Adirondack Ed Center.
We're not streaming anymore. We're not streaming anymore.
Let me hit stop. Wait, are we?
No. Chris is here. We want to start the video.
Okay, Keith will be.